What's up, y'all? This DP. Quick video, Kingpin Chronicles. Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share, right? Off top, right? It's all free, right? We ain't charging you nothing to do that, right? But let me dig deep into this whole thing we've seen go on in LA and other parts of California, right? With Mexican, Latino, protests slash riots going on in Cali right now, right? And now I'm gonna go into something, and it's gonna be just listen and hear me out before you make judgment on what I'm about to say, right? All this is, in my opinion, is another right sad episode in the so-called war on drugs in this country, right? We got to understand that the biggest problem and the number one thing that they mention is the flow of fentanyl or into this country, right? And the suicides, and then they tying all that to crime, right? And all the other things they're saying, MS-13 and all these different gangs and all of that, right? So now what we gotta understand is, right, way back after the Civil War, you know what I'm saying, and morphine, right? It started out as morphine, and it was a widespread addiction in the country, right? And it was mainly in, middle and upper class citizens, right? Which we know who that's talking about, right? So now, in the 1800s and all of this, you had pharmaceutical companies move into the fight for dominance in the drug game. And we know Bayer, right? Bayer, the aspirins, the headache medicine, you take one a day to keep a heart attack away, right? They was actually the persons or the company, right, that gave the drug in this new form that they was creating in labs the name heroin, right? And I got pictures of the bottles of the heroin that you could buy over the counter. And addiction actually started as over the counter medicines that was being sold, right, in the country. And it was basically opium that people was, putting their twist on it and saying you could take this for a cough, you could take this for a sneeze, you could take, but it was, cocaine, opium, marijuana was being prescribed, right? So what happened was it was creating all these addiction problems in middle and upper class. It wasn't affecting the lower class citizens, right? So what happened was the Italians, right? This is how the mafia came to be, right? The mafia came to be because they had a connection with the opium coming out of Asia going into France, and they was producing this pure white heroin that was, you could put 100 on it. You know what I'm saying? So they was producing this pure white heroin that the Sicilians had their hands on, right? And this go back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, all the way up until like the 1930s. It was the Antinori, right? Ignacio Antinori. He was the nation's leading drug trafficker. He was the one that had the plug bringing this China white from out of France into Cuba and then smuggling it into the United States from different routes and moving it through the various families of what came to be known as La Cosa Nostra. And he was actually one of the first one of the bosses in the first 5 original families, right? And this family would later be known as the Trafficante family out of Florida. But skip all of that, right? And this go all the way up until the 1920s when the United States started passing laws such as it's like the Narcotics Tax Act. I share pictures of it, and the Harrison Act or something like that. But this is when they first started making the sale of any form of these narcotics or whatever. And what they was doing was they was roping the game off so that the government could control and say who could sell these highly addictive narcotics, right? So now it's turned into, we don't fast forward, and now over time, this has been a fight between big pharma, as it's called, right? and street level dealers, right? Because you got the people that's producing these drugs, right? Trying to go around the government, right? And push it in more pure forms, right? And give it to people more pure forms, a little bit cheaper, all of that, right? So this became a big problem. And when Biden them got into office, right? Anybody that know anything about the streets know that the floodgates just opened, right? So people was like stupid. I was like, y'all don't. That's the setup, man. Ain't no way, man. It just, so, to each his own. But you could see these things happening, right? And as soon as, because this last administration, they fight was supposedly against big pharma and all of this, and they were saying that. But what they was doing was they was opening up the back door, because in California they getting exposed, man, and they showing it, man. The politicians, it's clear that they compromised. The cartels breaking bread, man. That's why they going against getting illegal immigrants out of the country. Who can fight that? How can you fight that and think that you on the right side of the argument? It don't make sense, and it's clear as day. Man, the governor of California, the mayor, all these people that's fighting for this, Maxine Waters, all of these, man, Maxine Waters been in the since, come on, man. Y'all don't see this. It's the fight over control of the dope game, man. The government want the dope game back, man. These other people found ways. They found a way, and it's always gonna go, because it's always gonna be a way, because the government, right? All they want you to do is come to the doctor and let them put you on it, right? And they done tricked us, right, into bringing our kids, right? And getting our kids on addicted to drugs like Ritalin and Adderall and all of that. All of that is over the counter forms of crack cocaine, powder cocaine, and heroin. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you sit and look at your kid when you give them that goddamn Ritalin, they be over there stuck just like a crackhead, don't they? If you give them that speed or that Adderall, they be just like somebody that done took a line of that blow, ain't it? Man, y'all got to watch, and y'all let them trick y'all, and then y'all wonder why the kids out of control. Because they trick these single mothers, I'm gonna say it. They trick these single mothers into saying, okay, your kid got a problem with listening and sitting down. You can't discipline them no more, right? But your kid got a little problem with sitting down and, listening, and, he 3, 4 years old, but yeah, he got a problem, and I think we should have him see a doctor. And then next thing you know, you got a child that's addicted to a narcotic drug, right? So when they get to an age where they can start to say, man, I don't like the way that make me feel, right? They put that down, and what they go look for? So now we got, instead of like when I was a youth, we smoked a little bit of weed and bought a $10 bottle of gin, and we drunk gin and smoked weed and puffed on Black and Miles and stuff like that. But man, we wasn't taking no pills. We wasn't taking no pills. Huh? We wasn't, no. We wasn't drinking no medicine. Come on, man, they tricked y'all through this music, man, and this fake culture, right, as they call it, the culture. Man, they tricked y'all, man, and y'all letting y'all kids go out there, right, and follow these fake images, right, that they done created, right? So, I'm on the side of, if you ain't here the right way, you got to go. Because if you fighting to not do it the right way, what you hiding? See? And them the ones. See, right, look at this. Hold on. Let me show y'all something. Right? You can't go to Mexico and stay over there without becoming a resident, Mexico, temporary residential, driver's license. You got to do it right. That's what they want in Mexico. So now how can they expect to come to another country, right, and do it differently than it's done in every other country on the face of the earth? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Y'all gotta look. You know, this the cartels and the government fighting. This war had already popped off. So this the cartels and the government fighting, and them politicians that's out there fighting to stop the deportation. Them the ones pockets get lined. Man, I'm gone, man. This DP, this Kingpin Chronicles, the game ain't what it seems, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all, stick with me. We're gonna give you the truth. I'm gone.